All right, next we're going to create an additional file parallel to where the dog.txt file is. We're going to go ahead and create a cat.txt file. So here I'm just going to say cat.txt. And let's just go ahead and go through this process once again. So I'm going to do a git status in the git bash. And there is my untracked cat.txt file. I'm going to go ahead and do a git add command. So I'm going to say git add, and I can start typing C, tab to autocomplete, git add cat. Again, a git status, and we can use the up and down arrow keys to flip through our recent commands. Again, we can see that our file has been staged and now needs to be committed. So I'm going to go ahead and do a git commit command again, -m, and then in my message here I'm going to say add cat file. All right, let's follow that up with a git status command and make sure that everything looks good, and it does. Once again, let's take a look at the log by doing a git log command. And now you can see that there are 3 items there. Again, the newest is at the top. You can see we first added the dog file, added the dog name to the dog file, and then added cat. So one of the things that having a source code repository does for us is it allows us essentially a backup of some of the files. We can go back to previous states of files. So if we've made changes that we don't actually want to make, or we made them accidentally, or we changed our mind, by having a file in the repository, so once our files are in this local repository, we have the ability to roll back subsequent changes. So if I accidentally make a change to one of these documents here, I can say, nope, I don't want that change, and by executing a git command, I can pull all of the latest source code out of the repository back to the working folder. So let's go ahead and go through that process real quick. So I'm going to go back to my folder, my working folder, and I'm going to delete my dog.txt file. And let's say that here I'm going to modify my cat file. So I'm going to put the cat's name Seth in the file, save that. And you can see now we don't have the dog file and we've made a change to the cat file. So I'm going to do a git status here. And you can see now in the git status it tells us that the cat.txt was modified and dog.txt was deleted. Now I mentioned there's a command if we decide that we don't want those changes. Of course I could recreate the dog.txt file, or I could modify my cat.txt file again back to the state that it used to be. But when you're working with source code, that could be a very large amount of change. So I may have spent a couple hours on a source code change and deciding I don't want it anymore. I don't want to have to go through the file line by line and remove all of my changes. So the git bash offers this command called git checkout. And by doing the git checkout command, it tells us here that cat.txt was modified and dog.txt was deleted. And that I know that because there's an M for modified and a D for delete there. But if I look at my folder, we can see that no changes were actually made. I still don't have my dog file, and if I open up my cat file, it still has the cat name in it. So in order to actually execute the checkout and pull the latest back, I need to specify the --force command. And that force command says don't just tell me what would happen if I executed the checkout, but actually execute it. So now I'm going to run the checkout command. And if I look at my folder now, you can see that my dog.txt file is back with the dog name Fido, and my cat.txt file is back, and it has no contents. So next, let's go ahead and say that I do legitimately want to remove one of these files. One interesting concept here that might take a little bit of thinking to get used to is the fact that even deletions need to be staged and committed. So if I delete a file from my workspace, I need to actually stage that deletion and then commit that deletion, just as though I were adding a file. The commands vary slightly, but the process and the idea behind it is the same. So let's say that I want to remove one of these files here. In this case, I'm going to delete the cat.txt file. Now here I'm going to do a git status, and let's see what it shows us. So here it shows that cat.txt was deleted. So now to remove this, to stage this file, so to speak, to stage this deletion, again, it's very similar to how we would stage a file addition. So before, when we added the cat, we said git add cat.txt. And now if we want to stage this deletion, we would say git rm for remove, and then I'm going to start typing cat and hit tab and let it autocomplete for me. And I'm going to go ahead and execute this git remove command. I'll follow that up with a git status. And now we see in green that this cat.txt file deletion has been staged. To actually remove this file, now I'm going to go ahead and do a git commit. Again, because the change has been staged, so this deletion of cat.txt has been staged, but now we want to commit to that deletion to the local repository. So here I'm going to do a git commit, specify my message. For my message, here I'm going to say remove cat file, and I'll execute that command. I'm going to follow that up with a git status and make sure that everything looks good, and it does. And if I go in my folder now, you can see that dog.txt is still there and cat.txt is not. So those are just a few basic commands in Git that will allow you to take files from your local workspace, get them staged, committed to the repository, and then also using the checkout command, getting them back. We talked about removing files, as well as adding them and taking that through the whole process. Thanks for watching.